Jungkook gazes at the family photo on his office desk, the smiles of his parents and a younger Jungkook in the center. His eyes feel warm, and he takes a deep breath to control his emotions. He carefully places the photo back into his desk drawer. Next, he calls his secretary, instructing him to come into his office. Shortly after, "Come in. What can I do for you, sir? How is the condition of that woman's company now?" "Its stocks have plummeted, sir. All investors have decided to withdraw their funds. It seems like the perfect time for you to take over the company." "And how is the woman herself?" "She has been in the hospital for 2 days, sir. Her health is declining. It seems she's under a lot of stress, and she definitely didn't expect this turn of events. It's time to bring her in, kidnap her, but what, sir? Don't harm her." "Certainly, sir. In that case, I'll take my leave." A middle-aged man is standing next to the patient's bed. Yin, who is currently leaning against it, gazes at the man. "So, uncle, what actually happened in the past? Why does Jungkook hold such a grudge against me? He has repeatedly tried to bring down my company, and each time I resisted, but now I have been defeated. He used to say that the fault was with my late father, calling him a leech and a traitor. What really happened, uncle? Every time I ask him, he refuses to answer." "Yin, are you ready to know the truth?" "I have to know, uncle. Why is he so vengeful towards me? What did my late father do to him?" "In the past, your father and his father were friends, or so it seemed. They built a business together and succeeded, but, however, their friendship turned into enmity after." "After what, uncle?" "After your father betrayed him. He played dirty to take full control of the company and successfully pushed him aside." "What? It can't be that my father was that evil?" "Many, including myself, advised your father, Yin, so that he would realize the wrongdoing against his own friend. But it seems that wealth turned him into a greedy person. He no longer cared about the advice he should have listened to. Many wanted to bring him down, but couldn't." "What happened next to his friend?" "After that, Mr. Jian spiraled downward. He tried to build his own business but failed since his entire capital was depleted during the venture with your father. Mr. Jian was stressed, and eventually, he took his own life." "What?" "Yes, that's what happened." "And what about Jungkook's current company?" "That's a business he built on his own, not established by his father. His father died in poverty, leaving nothing for him. However, Jungkook managed to rise. So, he seeks revenge against me because he believes everything I have now should have been his too." "Yes, perhaps. But it seems there's something more tragic than that." "What could be more tragic than knowing his father took his own life because of my father, destroying his life? At that time, both of you were just 15 years old. His father's death left him alone, without anyone to care for him. He worked hard to survive on his own." Yin takes a deep, heavy breath. Suddenly, her head throbs and her stomach feels queasy. The details of Uncle King's story make her dizzy, and she desperately needs to rest now. "Uncle, I need to rest now." "Alright then, I'll leave. The doctor will come soon, and if you're feeling better, you might be able to go home today." With that, Uncle King exits the room. Yin reclines, closing her eyes, craving rest. Yet, Jungkook's face keeps haunting her thoughts. Yin has encountered Jungkook several times at various events. They have unintentionally crossed paths at business alliance gatherings with their respective associates. And every time they meet, Jungkook never shows any friendliness. His gaze is always sharp, as if wanting to kill her. The last time they encountered each other, he taunted her, claiming that everything she owned wasn't rightfully hers. Furious, Yin questioned Jungkook, but he responded with cynicism, telling her to find out for herself. Now, Yin finds herself in a vulnerable position. Her business is declining, with no investors willing to inject capital or collaborate with her father's legacy company. The latest news from her office secretary is that Jungkook is about to become the sole investor in her company and take it over. Yin sighs. Perhaps it's still better than closing down. However, does this mean she has to bow down to Jungkook's authority? But wasn't this company supposed to be Jungkook's from the beginning? Yin is utterly frustrated, contemplating all of this. If that's the case, why hasn't Jungkook contacted her until now? The next day, Yin is now on her way home from the hospital when suddenly her car is stopped by a group of people. Before she realizes it, her consciousness abruptly fades away. Yin slowly opens her eyes, gazing at the unfamiliar ceiling of the room. Her awareness hasn't fully returned. Where is she? This isn't her bedroom. She tries to sit up, and that's when she notices someone sitting in this room. It's Jungkook. Jungkook, it seems like you've woken up. Why did you kidnap me? I'm still treating you nicely. Shouldn't you be grateful? What do you mean by treating me nicely? You woke up in a comfortable bedroom. Shouldn't you be tied up in a warehouse? You fainted with a blanket on you. Shouldn't you just be lying on the floor? Yin doesn't respond but stares at him. Then her eyes start scanning the room, and she notices the blanket covering part of her body. What do you want? Everything you own. Fine. Take it if it helps satisfy your revenge. Of course. I will take everything from you, with my own hands, all that you have, so be prepared. You'll give me everything and anything. What exactly do you want to take? My life as well? Perhaps, so be prepared. If that's the case, why don't you just lock me up in a dark warehouse? Do you prefer that? Fine, I'll arrange for you to have some hungry rats as company. I'll instruct them to prepare it. Jungkook immediately takes out his phone from his pocket and makes a call. Please take this woman to the warehouse. Stop. With that, Jungkook stopped talking. I'll contact you again later. And the next moment, Jungkook immediately ended the call. I chose to treat you well. Don't make me treat you badly. I know you'll seek revenge on me, but it's all my father's fault. I didn't do it. Jungkook, you enjoy that company, the company that has sustained you all this time. And do you know my regrets? I should have killed your father while he was still alive, not let him die from his illness. Well, go ahead, just kill me if that satisfies you. It's not that easy. Before you die, I will torment you until I am satisfied and happy to see you suffer. So be prepared for that. Jungkook immediately stood up and left the bedroom, while Yin remained silent, bowing her head. Jungkook threatened her, but why does it seem like she doesn't feel threatened? He said Jungkook would torture her and make her suffer before eventually killing her. Is that true? If so, why only now? Why not before? Well, Jungkook did bankrupt my company and is about to take over. That's all that has happened. And what comes next? Yin truly can't predict it anymore what Jungkook will do to her. But why does Yin feel less threatened here? Is it because she's quite comfortable? As Jungkook mentioned earlier, shouldn't she be locked in a warehouse or tied up? Yet, in reality, she's lying in a clean bedroom with a blanket and pillows. Yin examines the contents of the room again. There's a bathroom inside. Her gaze now shifts to the bedside table, where there's milk and bread. Upon seeing it, Yin's stomach growls, a sign of hunger. Without hesitation, she drinks the milk, which is starting to cool, but still warm enough. She also eats the bread eagerly. She laughs softly while eating. Is she going insane? This milk and bread could be poison, yet she consumes them with gusto, as if she can't believe that she could die here. Alright, if what I'm eating and drinking right now is poison, then I'll surely die soon. But if I'm still alive, it means I wasn't poisoned. Well, that's how it goes. Let's see if I die shortly after eating and drinking this. I'm curious about how he plans to torture me. The next day, Yin tries to leave her room, initially curious whether it's locked from the outside or not, and turns out it isn't. She opens her bedroom door, finding no guard in front of it. Now, she's wandering through Jungkook's large house, feeling strange that her room isn't locked, and there's no one guarding it. If that's the case, escaping someday would be easy, wouldn't it? Yin continues walking until she reaches a certain place. There, she sees Jungkook and his guards. However, after witnessing what's happening there, Yin is truly shocked. Jungkook has just killed someone, not by using a gun but a knife, which is now embedded in the victim's stomach. Jungkook's hands are covered in blood. Yin is shocked, her mouth agape, feeling nauseous at what she's witnessing right now, until one of the guards realizes her presence, and that guard signals to Jungkook about Yin's presence. Jungkook calmly turns his head to see where Yin is standing, frightened and shocked. Meanwhile, Jungkook smirks slightly, gazing directly into Yin's eyes. Unable to handle it anymore, Yin immediately turns around and runs back to her room. No one chases her. Jungkook and all the guards there just watch Yin's retreating back. What should we do with Miss Yin, sir? Just let her be. Yin hastily enters her room. She wants to lock the door but realizes there's no lock from the inside. The door cannot be locked from within. She checks the outer part of the door, but there's no lock there either. Frustrated, Yin sighs, realizing she can't lock her bedroom. Now, she can only sit on the edge of the bed, covering her face. She's now aware of Jungkook being the ruthless Mafia king. Yes, Yin just witnessed it herself. Yin begins to feel fear towards Jungkook. Perhaps one day, she'll end up like the man Jungkook just killed. Her hands and feet start to feel cold. Yin is genuinely frightened now. A few minutes later, her room door opens. Yin's eyes immediately focus on the door, seeing two maids entering with her lunch, placing it on the nightstand. Next, the maids exit. Yin pays no attention to the provided meal. Now, Yin starts to think, what if the food is poisoned? The hunger she felt disappears instantly at the thought. 1 hour later, another maid enters Yin's bedroom, heading towards the nightstand. It seems she intends to take the dirty dishes, but since the food remains untouched, the maid exits. 5 minutes later, Yin's room door opens again. This time, It's not a maid but Jungkook. Terrified Yin, still sitting at the edge of the bed, closes her eyes tightly. While Jungkook calmly strides towards Yin, standing upright in front of her, his hands casually in his trouser pockets. He gazes down, observing Yin, who continues to keep her head lowered, avoiding eye contact. "Why aren't you eating?" Yin simply shakes her head, refusing to answer and remaining silent. Seeing Yin's response, Jungkook starts to feel a bit irritated. Withdrawing his right hand from his pocket, Jungkook reaches for Yin's chin, gently lifting her head to face him. "I asked you why you're not eating." Jungkook repeats the question while still holding Yin's chin. "The food and drink might be poisoned. Even if it is poisoned, you still have to consume it. Didn't you say to yourself yesterday, just kill me if that will satisfy you?" Hearing Jungkook say that, Yin can only close her eyes, silently cursing herself inwardly. Because, yes, she did say those words. Now Jungkook's hand, which was initially on her chin, moves to touch her neck, giving the impression he might strangle her. However, he only gently caresses it. Yin becomes more anxious, even finding it hard to breathe. Although Jungkook is just touching her neck and not choking her, Jungkook begins to lean his body, whispering into her ear, "Yin, your neck is so small. I could easily strangle you right now until you die. If you don't obey my orders, you will face torture. Now, eat." With that, Jungkook straightens up, withdrawing his hand from her neck and placing it back into his trouser pocket. Yin, who has been struggling to breathe, immediately adjusts her breath. "Finish your meal. If you still refuse to eat in half an hour, you will die." With that, Jungkook leaves Yin alone in the room. "If you really want to kill me, why not let me starve? Why bother if I eat or not?" Yin grumbles inwardly, her eyes shifting toward the food on the nightstand. Now, she is convinced the food isn't poison. Her mouth, which had a bitter taste earlier, now returns to normal. She begins to feel hungry. Approaching the food, she sees a steak with roasted potatoes and green beans. Later, there is a bowl filled with freshly cut, medium-sized diced fruits, pieces of mango, strawberry, grape, kiwi, and watermelon. Honestly, seeing all of this makes Yin's stomach practically scream with hunger. She proceeds to enjoy the steak and the assorted fruits until they are gone. As Jungkook mentioned earlier, 30 minutes later, a maid enters her room, taking the empty plate and bowl with her. Another maid arrives, refilling the water jug with mineral water, always available for Yin in her room. With that, Yin feels satisfied. Although her body may not be physically tired, her mind and thoughts certainly are. Eventually, she decides to take a nap. At night, Jungkook is seen sitting, continuously sipping the wine in his hand. He's slightly intoxicated, but still able to control himself. "I should be able to kill her, even though she's not guilty, but it's her father that's at fault. She has been enjoying the benefits of that company for years, while I had to struggle alone from scratch." Jungkook takes another sip of the wine in his hand. He sighs in frustration. He has wanted to kill Yin for a long time, but why is it that every time he looks at that woman, his heart instantly softens? As if the vengeance in his heart is lifted and disappears the moment he gazes at her. Once again, Jungkook sighs in frustration. It really makes no sense. He wanted to vent his frustration and anger on Yin at least once, to slap her hard, to choke her tightly. But why does it seem like he can't bring himself to do it? Suddenly, Jungkook's eyes sharpen, his jaw tightens. Who said he couldn't? He could do it, and tonight he will. With furious eyes, he starts walking towards her bedroom. His jaw continues to tighten, holding back years of pent-up emotions. His fists clenched, his steps determined as he walks towards the room where Yin is. He forcefully opened the bedroom door, finding Yin standing by the window, enjoying the night view before he abruptly slammed the door shut. Yin was genuinely startled to see Jungkook entering in such an angry state. What's going on? What happened? What did she do wrong when Jungkook suddenly appeared in such an angry state? What's wrong, Jungkook? Why are you suddenly like this? Jungkook starts walking slowly towards her, who looks surprised by his sudden entrance as if he's about to break the door. Seeing Jungkook slowly approaching her with an angry expression, Yin, to be honest, becomes very afraid. Unconsciously, Yin starts to step back until her body leans against the bedroom wall. Jungkook gets closer, staring at her intensely, until now he stands sternly in front of Yin, who is cornered against the bedroom wall. Jungkook's face reflects anger. His eyes sharply gaze at Yin, who looks frightened. His hand slowly touches her neck. Now the position is perfect. Just by gripping her neck, he can choke her perfectly. Jungkook attempts to tighten his grip on her neck, but he can't. He withdraws his hand, and a forceful punch lands on the wall right next to her head. Yin widens her eyes, terrified of Jungkook, who still stares at her sharply. "Jungkook, Before Yin could continue speaking, Jungkook pulled her closer, abruptly kissing her with rough intensity. A kiss filled with anger. Yin is genuinely surprised. What happened with Jungkook tonight? Earlier, he seemed like he wanted to kill her, and now he's kissing her? Yin tries to break free, but Jungkook firmly grips her hand, locking her movement against the wall. Jungkook continues kissing her for quite some time, while Yin is still perplexed. She can't deny there's a different sensation rising within her. Her hands no longer resist. Jungkook realizes it too. Slowly, he releases his grip on her hands and shifts to embrace her back, while his other hand moves to her neck, pressing to deepen what he is doing. Yin is now being carried away by the mood, almost surrendering as Jungkook guides her to lie on the bed. She resists again when Jungkook's body starts to weigh on her. With frustration, Jungkook finally releases their lips. His eyes sharply gaze at Yin, who is now beneath him. Don't resist me. Didn't I say I would take everything you have? Hearing Jungkook's threat, Yin is genuinely confused. What does he mean by taking everything I have, including this too? Jungkook resumes his activities with Yin that were momentarily paused. He did it still with anger. Finally, that night, Jungkook did it, claiming Yin's for her first time. Jungkook indulges in it fully. It becomes an exhausting night for both Yin and Jungkook. The next morning, Yin woke up with her body feeling sore, especially the intimate area below her stomach. Jungkook was rough and angry last night. She turned to the side, seeing Jungkook still sound asleep. Yin sighed in frustration, wondering what Jungkook would do to her again. But suddenly, I will marry you. What? Are you delirious right now? Yin was shocked to see Jungkook suddenly open his eyes. Has he actually been awake for a while? I will take everything from you, including your freedom. I will marry you soon. You cannot escape me forever. I will make you pregnant with my child and you have to take care of it. You're turning me into a baby-making machine. Just admit that you actually love me, right? Do you really think so? You're too confident. You tried to hurt me last night. You tried to choke me, but you couldn't. Instead, you vented your anger by doing this to me. You want me to hurt you? Huh? Wasn't last night painful enough? Do you want it to be more painful? It was painful indeed, especially in the beginning, since you did it roughly. Next time, do it gently, won't you? Don't you feel sorry for me? Don't expect it. Jungkook, I understand your emotions right now. You want to seek revenge for the crimes of my father, but my father is already dead. God punished him with severe pain during his last moments. I'm not asking you to forgive my father, but Jungkook, let me fix all of this. I want to give you happiness because I know how much you suffered after your father's death. What will you do for me then? I will give you my love. Throughout my life, I will provide you happiness by being a good wife to you. Didn't you say earlier that you would marry me? I will also bear your child. Jungkook fell silent, hearing Yin's words. He had been tormented and disgusted by his unresolved revenge, but Yin offered a life full of happiness and love to him. Was this what he truly hoped for? Was this why he couldn't bring himself to hurt her, as the revenge he sought wasn't bringing the satisfaction he expected? Jungkook's eyes widened as he suddenly felt Yin approaching him and kissing his lips. The one-sided, gentle kiss from her had the power to soothe his heart. Jungkook began to close his eyes, enjoying her kiss, and soon, he responded with his own kiss. They both got carried away in the moment. What started as a gentle kiss turned into a more intense one. And once again, this morning, they did it. This time, there was no anger in Jungkook's heart. This time, there was no sense of compulsion. They both willingly and eagerly engaged in it. 30 minutes later, their breaths were both racing, and their bodies were covered in sweat. This time, it didn't hurt, did it? No, you did it very gently, unlike last night. Jungkook just smiled while still trying to regulate his breathing. Jungkook, when will you take over my company? Why, are you against it? No, besides, you'll be my husband. I don't want to work anymore. By the way, when are we getting married? Next week. Oh, alright then. 3 years later, Jungkook entered his home looking exhausted. He had just returned from the office. As he opened the door, a little boy immediately ran towards him. Daddy. Jungkook promptly lifted him up. Why aren't you asleep yet? I was waiting for you to come home, Daddy. Have you eaten? Yes, Mommy hasn't. Yin approached her husband who had just returned from the office. Welcome home, honey. Yes. Jungkook then briefly kissed his wife's lips and gently stroked her head. Why haven't you eaten yet? I was waiting for you. If I come home late from the office, you shouldn't wait for me. Eat first, and after I come home, you can still accompany me for dinner. The important thing is that you shouldn't skip meals. Alright, honey. Let's eat now. Yin nodded as she walked towards the dining area, followed by Jungkook, who was still carrying their little son. They started their family dinner together. Jungkook slowly entered their son's bedroom and saw that he was already asleep. Jungkook approached Yin, who had just finished reading a bedtime story. He's already asleep. Yin nodded, smiling in response to her husband's question. Okay, now it's my turn. What's wrong with you? You have to put this one to sleep too. He's been awake since earlier. Jungkook took her hand and guided her to touch a certain part of his body that had been firm since earlier. Her eyes widened. Aren't you tired tonight? You've been busy at the office all day and came home late. I'm never tired when it comes to enjoying your body, baby. Now, let's go out. Serve me tonight. Slowly, they left their son's bedroom and entered their own bedroom. Yin's task now was to put their little Jungkook back to sleep, who had been awake for a while. The sounds of moaning and groaning from their activities could be heard clearly. Fortunately, their room was designed for soundproofing. Finally, they both reached their release together. Baby, I love you. Love you too, honey.